Hey everybody, this is chapter 5, tissues, as part of week's 3 double chapter week, cells and tissues. So let's get into this one. So tissues are the next level of biological organizations after cells. So in complex organisms, such as humans, cells that perform similar functions group together to form tissues. A tissue can be defined as a collection of similar cells and the extracellular material surrounding them, organized to perform a specific function. The study of cells is called histology. In the human body, there are four principal types of tissue. We have epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous. Each type has its own structure and its own function, and together they combine to form organs and organ system. So in this chapter, we will explore the structure, function, and location of each type, as well as the relationship between their form and function. So the human body has four primary categories of tissue. Epithelial tissue covers and lines the surfaces. It forms boundaries between the body and its environment. And then there's number two is connective tissue. Connective tissue, it provides structure and support, binds organs together, it stores energy, and it does protect the body. Third is muscle tissue. Now, muscle tissue generates force and produces movement, so it allows our body to move. It's voluntary and involuntary. So, like our heart is a muscle that is involuntary, but our skeletal muscles are muscles that we control. I control if I want to move my fingers right now. Number four, nervous tissue. And this is specialized for communication through electrical impulses, allowing coordination and control of body function. Each of these tissue types works in concert with the others to sustain life's processes. For instance, muscles cannot contract effectively without the connective tissues that anchor it, or the nervous tissues that will be needed to stimulate that contraction. This interdependence is a key theme, not only here, but in human anatomy and physiology in general. Okay, so here is just a study guide for you guys. It breaks down the type, function, location, and characteristics of those tissues that we just talked about. Okay, so let's dive into epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissue does serve as the body's covering and lining. Okay, it forms the outer layer of skin, lines our body cavities and our hollow organs, and it composes of glands that secrete various substances. So epithelial cells, they're tightly packed. They have very little extracellular space, and they adhere to each other through special junctions. These guys are avascular, which means that they do not have blood vessels. So any nutrients that they receive, it must be diffused to them from underlying connective tissue. So these cells, they do exhibit polarity, with one surface exposed to the external environment or the internal cavity, and the other anchored to a basement membrane. We'll see what a basement membrane looks when we get to the pictures. These guys regenerate very quickly, which is important for us to recover from any wound or injury we may have. Because of their arrangement, these epithelial tissues function as protective barriers, absorptive surfaces, or they secrete. So organization-wise, they are organized based on the number of cell layers and the shape of the cells. If there's only one layer of cells, the tissue is described as simple epithelium. If multiple layers exist, it is called stratified. A third category, pseudostratified. Now this one will appear to be layered, but it's just chaos arrangement. There's actually not many layers, only one layer. So it's kind of throwing you for a loop when you look at it. The shape can be squamous, flat, cuboidal, cube-shaped, or columnar, tall. The shape and layering correspond closely to function. So for instance, simple squamous epithelium allows easy diffusion in the lungs, while stratified squamous epithelium provides protection for the skin. They are built to do what they need to do. All right, let's break down the first one, simple squamous. So simple squamous epithelium consists of a single layer of thin, flat cells. One layer flat. This design facilitates rapid diffusion, osmosis, and filtration. It forms the walls of the alveoli in the lungs, where gas exchange happens. It's thin, it has to allow things in and out. It also lines capillaries to enable exchange between blood and tissues. Okay, so although this one is efficient for diffusion, its delicate structure means it can be easily damaged. So simple squamous epithelium also lines body cavities as part of the serous membranes, which reduces friction between organs. Because it does have a smooth, thin surface, this epithelium is ideal for areas in the body that require minimal resistance to material passage. It is not ideal for anything that's going to take a pounding or get damaged easily. Okay, simple cuboidal epithelium. So this consists of cube-shaped cells, just like they're in the picture, with a centrally located nucleus. So this is primarily involved in secretion and absorption. These can be found in the kidneys, where it functions in filtering and absorbing substances. It also forms the walls of ducts in glands such as the thyroid and salivary glands. Because it often forms circular structures, you can see this under a microscope pretty clearly. It has a ring-like appearance. Okay, so simple cuboidal epithelium provides more structure support than squamous epithelium while maintaining efficient transport functions. So we have one layer cubed, simple cuboidal. Okay, simple columnar, one layer column. So it also has a nucleus, but it's near the basement membrane. And so the basement membrane in all these is the purple bottom. They all have the same basement membrane. This one functions primarily absorption and secretion. This tissue specifically lines much of the digestive tract, from the stomach through the intestines and portions of the uterus. It often contains microvilli, which increase surface area for absorption, and goblet cells. Okay, those are the cells in the picture where there's only two of them in the picture, but they're right above the nucleus and they just look like a cluster. Okay, and these secrete mucus to protect and lubricate surfaces. In some areas, such as the uterine tubes, the columnar cells bear cilia that move materials, including ova, along the surface. This combination of specialization, allows efficient digestion, absorption, and protection. So that is simple columnar, one layer column. Okay, so here is pseudostratified columnar epithelium. So you can see here, it is one layer, but because the nucleus is all over the place, it looks a little crazy, especially under the microscope. It kind of looks like it's multiple layers because of that nucleus. Okay, these also often contain cilia and goblet cells, making it highly effective in protecting against infection. This tissue lines most of your respiratory tract, including your trachea and your bronchi. And this is where the cilia move mucus and trapped particles upwards toward the throat. So this coordinated movement is part of the body's defense mechanism. It helps prevent debris and really any kind of pathogen from entering the lungs. Okay, so we get it out of there, moves it back up before it becomes a problem. Because of its structure, the tissue combines secretion, movement, and protection in only one layer. So these guys are doing a lot here to protect us. Once again, we have the same basement membrane. They all have the same basement membrane. All right, let's get into our stacked ones. Stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, now these are composed of many layers, which you can definitely, both pictures show it, but definitely the microscopic picture shows it. And this helps provide durability and protection against mechanical stress. The outermost cells are flattened, while deeper cells may appear cuboidal or columnar even. This tissue forms the epidermis, and its surface cells are filled with the protein keratin, making it water resistant and really tough. So non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium lines most moist areas such as the oral cavity, esophagus, the vagina, and the anal canal. The continual renewal of these surface cells ensures protection from abrasion as well as infection in high friction areas. So that is stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, stratified cuboidal epithelium. Now these typically consist of 2 or 3 layers of cube-shaped cells, and this arrangement provides additional protection compared to a single layer. It is found in the ducts of sweat glands, mammary glands, and salivary glands, where it contributes to secretion and structural stability. Although less common than simple cuboidal epithelium, it plays an essential role in reinforcing glandular structures that undergo repeated mechanical stress. Okay, we got 2 here, stratified columnar and transitional epithelia. So stratified columnar epithelium contains several layers, with columnar cells on the surface and cuboidal cells beneath. It lines parts of the male urethra and certain glandular ducts. Transitional epithelium, also called urothelium, is specialized to stretch. It lines the urinary bladder, ureters, and part of the urethra. When relaxed, this cell appears cuboidal. But and it's pretty cool, as tension increases, they flatten out. So this flexibility allows organs to expand and contract without tearing, maintaining a watertight barrier that prevents urine leakage. Once again, the body has specific needs and it designs its tissues and other check balances to meet those needs um, very efficiently and effectively. Okay. I get a study sheet for you guys. All right, so now we're going to talk about the second type of tissue, connective tissue. Now, connective tissue is the most abundant and widely distributed tissue in in the body. Okay, it forms framework that supports, binds, and integrates all other tissues and organs. Unlike epithelial tissue, which is densely packed and has a very small, very little extracellular material, connective tissue is defined by its extracellular matrix. And this is a combination of protein fibers and a ground substance that may be fluid, gel-like, or solid, depending on the subtype. This matrix allows connective tissue to vary dramatically in consistency. So this ranges from the liquid plasma of blood to the dense mineralization structure of bone. Connective tissue performs several essential functions. It supports and protects organs, binds body parts together, stores energy in adipose tissue, transports substances such as gases and nutrients through blood. Excuse me. And it defends the body via immune cells housed in the matrix. Most connective tissue are richly supplied with blood vessels, okay, giving them very strong regenerative capacity, although cartilage is an important exception, and that one is avascular. Typical connective tissues include loose and dense, okay, cartilage, bones, and blood. Together, these tissues maintain the body's shape, protect vital organs, and serve as the medium through which nutrients, waste, and immune components circulate. Okay, so let's dive in a little further. So the major cell types found in connective tissue. Okay, connective tissue contains a variety of cell types, and each of them performs specialized roles that maintain homeostasis. The most common of these types, they're called fibroblasts. Now, these are large star-shaped cells responsible for secreting protein, fibers, and the ground substance that form the extracellular matrix. You see a great picture of these right here. You can see the star shape and an actual visual to, kind of what I'm describing, what these words are describing. And then we have macrophages, also known as histiocytes. And these are derived from monocytes and act as phagocytic cells that remove foreign particles, pathogens, and dead cells. They are really essential to immune and repair processes. And then number 3, we have cells called mast cells, and these are widely distributed near blood vessels and release heparin, which prevents clotting and also releases histamine, which triggers inflammation and increases blood flow to injured areas. So, in specialized connective tissue, other cells such as chondrocytes in cartilage, osteocytes in bone, and adipocytes in fat perform unique functions. The balance between these cells types allow connective tissue to both maintain structure and respond dynamically to an injury or infection to get us back on our feet. Okay, we got connective tissue fibers, and there's really three types here: collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and reticular fibers. So the strength and the flexibility of connective tissue comes from its fibers, which are produced by fibroblasts. So fibroblasts produce fibers, and they are embedded in the matrix. The three types of fibers types are, the first type, is collagen fibers. And these are thick, strong, and slightly flexible. They provide great tensile strength and are found in tendons and ligaments. The second type, elastic fibers, are composed of the protein elastin, where they get their name. And these can stretch and return to their original shape. And this is an essential property for tissues such as the lungs and the arteries. Finally, we have reticular fibers. Now, these are thin, branching collagen networks that form delicate supporting framework within organs like the spleen and the liver. The relative abundance and arrangement of these fibers determine the tissue's physical properties. Dense connective tissue has many collagen fibers, while loose connective tissue contains more ground substance for flexibility. Together, these fibers and the surrounding gel-like ground substance provide mechanical support, resilience, and a medium for nutrient exchange. All right, so connective tissues are broadly categorized as connective tissue proper and specialized connective tissue. So the first one, connective tissue proper, includes loose connective tissue where cells and fibers are loosely arranged, and dense connective tissue where fibers are tightly packed. First one, loose connective tissue, includes areolar tissue, which cushions organs and binds epithelial cells to deeper tissues; adipose tissue, which stores fat and insulates the body; and finally, reticular tissue, which forms structural frameworks in organs like the liver and lymph nodes. Dense connective tissue are found in tendons, ligaments, and dermis, providing high tensile strength. Specialized connective tissue includes cartilage, bone, and blood, and each of these are adapted to a particular structure or functional role. The classification underscores how diverse modifications of the same components can be. So cells, fibers, and matrix, they all create materials with vastly different mechanical and physiological properties. All right, specialized connective tissue, cartilage. Cartilage in general is firm yet flexible connective tissue that supports and cushions structures within the body. Its matrix is rich in collagen and proteoglycans, and these provide strength with some elasticity. The resident cells, called chondrocytes, occupy small spaces known as lacunae within the matrix. Because cartilage lacks different blood supply, nutrients and oxygen diffuse through the matrix, which limits healing capacity. There are three major types: hyaline cartilage, the most common, found at the ends of the bones and joints in the nose, and respiratory passages. Okay, then we have elastic cartilage, which contains elastic fibers for flexibility and is found in the ear and the epiglottis. And finally, we have fibrocartilage, which has many collagen fibers and functions as a shock absorber in intervertebral discs and knee meniscus. Together, these form and provide support. They also reduce friction and they absorb mechanical stress during movement. Okay, slide 18. Bone. I think this is slide 18. Yep. Well, no, that's okay. Slide 19. Bone. So bone is the most rigid connective tissue due to its mineralized matrix of calcium salts and collagen fibers. Okay, this is strong, it's hard, it supports us. Okay, the rigidity of bone provides structural support and protection of vital organs and attachment points, and it acts as attachment points for muscles that help us move. The primary bone cells are called osteocytes, and they reside in the lacunae and communicate through specialized cells to exchange nutrients and waste. Bone tissue exists in two forms: compact bone, which is dense and organized osteons, and spongy bone, which is lighter and contains spaces filled with bone marrow. Beyond its mechanical role, bone acts as a reservoir for calcium and phosphorus and houses red bone marrow, where blood cells are produced. The dynamic capabilities of bone throughout its life demonstrate its dual nature as both a structural and a living tissue responsible for physiological demands. It's really, bone is really a cool thing. You know, it does a lot and it's built very uniquely. Okay, blood. Blood is connective tissue, even though it's a liquid. So blood is a fluid connective tissue that transports substances throughout the body. Extracellular matrix, called plasma, is a watery fluid containing proteins, nutrients, gases, and waste products. Okay, blood is suspended within plasma, and it is also made of what is called formed elements. Now, these are three things: red blood cells, which are also called erythrocytes, white blood cells, which are also called leukocytes, and platelets, which are also called thrombocytes. Red blood cells are responsible for carrying oxygen via hemoglobin, and they facilitate carbon dioxide transport. White blood cells, their primary goal is to defend the body against pathogens. They protect us. And then platelets, their goal is to create clot formation and tissue repair. Okay, so the blood's ability to circulate ensures constant communication among tissues. It also distributes hormones. It maintains proper pH and temperature, and it removes metabolic wastes. Despite its liquid form, blood meets the criteria for connective tissue because it originates from mesenchyme and connects all body systems through its transport functions. Okay, here's a visual of the plasma and the formed elements here. So we got our red blood cells, our white blood cells, and our platelets all coming together to form the connective tissue, blood. So blood is way more than just red blood cells. It's got a lot happening, a lot going on in there. Okay, so that is connective tissue. We're going to move on to our third type of tissue, which is muscle tissue. So muscle tissue is specialized for contraction, right? That's how we move. It converts chemical energy from ATP into mechanical work. It enables movement, maintains posture, and it generates heat for our body. There are three types of muscle tissue. There are skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Now, each of these muscle tissues have a distinctive structural and control mechanism. Muscle cells contain actin and myosin filaments that slide past each other to create contraction. Skeletal muscle is under our voluntary control and is attached to bones. Smooth muscle and cardiac muscle contract involuntarily to regulate internal functions. Okay, we do not control those. All muscle tissues share some key characteristics. One, they are excitable, so they respond to stimuli. They can contract, so they have the ability to shorten. They can extend. They have the ability to stretch. And they are elastic. They have the ability to return to their original shape. Together, they make up about half of the body's mass and are essential to nearly every physiological process involving motion. All right, let's break down skeletal muscle first. So skeletal muscle tissue consists of long, cylindrical fibers that are multinucleated and striated due to the alignment and of contractile proteins. It attaches to bones via tendons and enables voluntary movements such as walking, speaking, and breathing. Each muscle fiber is surrounded by connective tissue layers that bundle fibers into fascicles and entire muscles, facilitating coordinated contraction. Okay, skeletal muscles specifically are richly supplied with blood vessels and nerves, allowing for very rapid response and also endurance during activity. Under neural stimulation, the fibers contract and generate force, while opposing muscle groups relax, producing precise motion. All right, so skeletal muscles, in addition to locomotion, skeletal muscles support posture, they stabilize our joints, and they help maintain body temperature through heat production. All right, smooth and cardiac muscle tissues. All right, so smooth muscles first. Smooth muscles are involuntary and they are important for internal body functions. Smooth muscle fibers are spindle-shaped, non-striated, and found in the walls of hollow organs and blood vessels. That's where they're located. Their slow, rhythmic contractions move substances such as fluid, urine, or blood. These contractions are usually controlled by the autonomic nervous system. Okay, we'll get into that towards the end of AP1 here. Cardiac muscle, found only in the heart. It's the only spot it is. It's a whole type of muscle, but it's in one spot, the heart. Combines features of both skeletal and smooth muscle. So it's striated like skeletal muscle, but involuntary like smooth muscle. The cells branch and connect via intercalated discs. All right. They have specialized junctions that allow ions to pass freely between cells, and they synchronize heartbeat contractions. This coordination ensures that the heart contracts as a unified organ that's consistent, it's structured, okay, and that maintains a consistent flow of blood throughout our life. Without that, we would be in a lot of trouble. So that's smooth and cardiac muscle. All right, the last type, type number 4, nervous tissue. Okay, this is the body's primary communication network. This allows for rapid transmission of information. Okay, it is composed of two types, neurons and neuroglia. Okay, and this is our nervous system. This is our brain, our spinal cord, and our nerves. So first, neurons. Neurons are the functional units that generate and conduct electrical impulses. Each neuron consists of a cell body, dendrites that branch out, and these receive incoming signals, and a axon, okay, that's like the tail, that transmit impulses to other neurons, muscles, or glands. Neuroglia support, insulate, and nourish neurons, ensuring their optimal performance. So nervous tissue forms the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves, coordinating all body activities. It enables perception, memory, reasoning, and voluntary as well as involuntary control. Okay, damage to this tissue can have profound, huge effects because unlike most tissues, neurons have limited capacity to regenerate once destroyed and possibly no ability to regenerate. So these need to be protected because they may not come back. All right, study guide, study sheet for you guys. And that's the end of the chapter. Okay, that's chapter 3, that's chapter 5. That finishes up week 3. Thank you guys. Have a great week.